satellites saying, Victor?
Right now, not a goddamn thing. I lost the signal.
Hey, you know what never loses signal? Paper.
What's up, everybody? This is Games Radar Plus. I'm Lorenzo Valoria. I'm here with Lucas Sullivan, and he just had a chance to check out Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. How's it going, Lucas?
It's going good. It's going good.
So tell us a little bit about what you saw and, what Uncharted 4 is all about so far, what you played.
Cool, yeah. So I'll set it up for anyone that, might not have been following Uncharted 4 until now. Here's the real quick rundown of the story. Basically, all the Uncharted games, as you probably know, start with a historical mystery at the core, something that Nathan Drake is trying to go after. This one deals with the treasure of Henry Avery, that's spelled like Every. And he was this legendary pirate. He's kind of like the king of pirates because he had all these pirates reporting to him. And he had basically this crazy treasure trove of gold and jewels, and most of his associates were captured, but Avery himself was never found. So Uncharted 4, Nathan Drake has been out of the game of going after treasures, but his brother, voiced by Troy Baker, Sam Drake, he shows back up, re-enters his life, and Nathan's like, I gotta do this one last job. So Victor Sullivan, aka Sully, joins back up with them, and this demo took place in Madagascar, of all places. Not the movie, not Ben Stiller, not Chris Rock.
Right.
And
do you know how far into the game that level was?
It seemed like a good ways in, so definitely not like right at the beginning. And it seemed to be kind of where like the adventure itself was getting started. They had probably set up all the characters beforehand, but it was just Nathan, Sam, and Sully in this 4x4 in the plains of Madagascar, which is beautiful looking in game.
Right, and Uncharted 4 it kind of has more wide open spaces, right? It's not so linear like the previous games where you kind of like run it down corridors, like with cars chasing after you. You actually get to drive cars and do that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's funny that you say those words because the term that Naughty Dog has been using is wide linear, where it's kind of like it appears to be this huge open space, but really you are still going down paths that are pretty much predetermined. So in this case, you do have a car to drive around, which is something new, and you can drive, wherever you want, but you pretty much are just going between nodes, really, with like strips of pathway through them. If this doesn't make sense, then
no, it's kind of like you hit certain spots and then it'll branch out to a choice. Can I go left or right?
Not even that.
Center.
Like, it's pretty much
that kind of thing.
It looks like you could drive all around, but in reality, it's just like there's one path forward.
Okay, so more guided gameplay, but it just looks open.
Yeah. So don't worry if you're sick of open world games. This is not that.
Yeah. So how does driving handle in the game?
It's interesting. So the car itself is pretty standard, just gas and brake. But they put a lot of emphasis on traction, so how the car controls depending on what surface you're driving over. And there was a lot of variety in the Madagascar area because there was like regular old dirt roads, but then there's all these muddy hills that you have to navigate, and the way to do that is look for patches of rocks where you can actually get traction for your tires. And it also kind of introduces this funny concept. Nick Pina from Tech Radar called it car puzzles, where you have a winch at the front of the car, and you'll have to use that to help the car get up extremely muddy hills, which
sort of like that scene in Jurassic Park when what's his name gets eaten by the Dilophosaurus. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Exactly. And having the car is also a really easy way to explore more of the environment quicker. So there are sometimes little alcoves you can find if you drive off the beaten path, so to speak. There's this cool like cave behind a waterfall at one point. And it's also funny because when Nate gets out of the car, usually Sully and Sam will stay behind. And this is a good chance for the game to show off how it does kind of emergent dialogue. So it's a system they borrowed from The Last of Us, also by Naughty Dog, where they'll just start chatting, and it can actually lead to pretty awesome little bits of character building in the dialogue, which is fun.
Can you get out of the car at any point, or are these
Yeah.
designated points?
Yeah, anytime you could just hop out. And I guess theoretically you could try running all over the place, but eventually you will need the car to get up certain hills that are super slippery.
Okay, so Uncharted is known for its combat. You know, you run around, shoot dudes. That's pretty much half the game.
Yep.
So how is it handled in Uncharted 4? Is there anything different? Is there any new equipment that you experienced, or
It seemed
going
pretty
on?
much the same. The handling felt really smooth. The gun variety was about the same. You have a pistol by default, and you pick up like AK-47s and sniper rifles, stuff like that. You got grenades, obviously. But in terms of mobility, the grappling hook that Nate uses adds a lot of vertical movement to the fights. Although I kind of found myself wishing it would work like Batman's grappling hook, where you would just like zip up to where you were grappling. Here it's more of like a swinging like Tarzan movement.
Right, it's just a rope that hooks onto
Yeah,
things, and
it's
then you
not
climb
a
up things. Yeah.
High-tech gadget.
If you had a
chance.
chance to play the multiplayer beta, you get the same access to that kind of rope. You could jump off a cliff, latch onto it, swing across a gap, and then land and break somebody's neck or whatever.
Yeah,
pretty
but
cool.
it's not as useful for like, oh, I'm at this lower point, I want to get to this higher platform. You can't really use it like that, at least from my experience. And you're free to just approach any fight like you normally would in an Uncharted game, which is just start shooting at everything that moves, and eventually you'll just down every person in the area. But there's a huge emphasis on stealth in Uncharted 4. So it's almost like something along the lines of Far Cry or Metal Gear Solid 5. I was getting a real big MGS5 vibe
Really?
from the combat, because they added in the ability to mark enemies from afar. And you'll also, there's a new like stealth indicator for the enemies. So if an enemy is looking in your direction, it'll be like a white diamond. As the diamond fills up, it'll become yellow. That's when they're alerted. And then if they spot you again, then it's orange, and pretty much a fight breaks out from there. And what enables the stealth approach is there's tall grass, patches of tall grass around these sort of big set piece fight areas. So if you move into that grass and just stop moving, Nate will automatically crouch down and enemies can't see him. And it's really simple to mark enemies. You just pop out with L2, which is aim like normal, and then tap L3 and that person's marked. In this gameplay footage, it might look like, my aim could use a little work, but a player's gonna play and hater's gonna hate. Am I right, Lorenzo?
That is true. That is so true. You speak the truth, Lucas. And that's been our one quick look at Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. For more on Uncharted 4, be sure to check out Games Radar Plus at gamesradar.com, and we'll see you there.